Today I fucked up by mourning my dead cat. So this FU happened 2 weeks ago now, but I've been so busy with work and study I'm only now getting around to posting about it. I was driving to work one morning when I saw my 3-year-old cat, Ailey, lying dead at the side of the road, just a quarter of a mile from home. To say I was devastated would be an understatement. As part of my job I sometimes have to transport pupils to school, and unfortunately that particular day I had 2 wee ones in the back of my car. I couldn't just leave Eilish on the road, but I couldn't take her home either. Compromised by stopping the car in a nearby passing place, jumping out and running back to carry my still warm, but very much dead, kitty off the road and onto the verge where she'd be safe, I decided to place her halfway down the verge so she wouldn't be visible from the road. For the remaining 10-minute drive to work I fought back the tears and wondered how I was going to break the news to my children after school. Once the pupils I was transporting were safely in class, I explained to the DHT what happened and asked if I could nip home to put my cat in the shed as I couldn't bear the thought of her lying for hours at the side of the road. She was very understanding and told me to go and she'd cover for me until I got back. With no pupils in the car to remain calm and collected for, I let the grief wash over me and bawled my eyes out. Thankfully the roads here are quiet because I really wasn't as focused on the road as I should have been. When I got back to the passing place my cat was just where I'd left her, but now with a trickle of blood trailing from her mouth. The rain had started up by this point and there I was, smart work clothes on, and in my high-heeled boots, scrambling halfway down this wet and slippery verge, to retrieve my beloved kitty. I was rather vocal with my grief too. It's been a shitty year and I've been keeping a lot of stress bottled up inside, so it was like a dam had finally burst inside me. I was screaming and crying in anguish. Surprisingly, I didn't go for a flyer and I managed to get Eilish in my car without incident. I drove the rest of the way home, crying and apologizing to her for not being able to protect her when she needed me the most. Once home I carried her into the shed, knelt down on the cold concrete floor and proceeded to cry and mourn her passing, stroking her, kissing her, and apologizing over and over again. As much as I didn't want to, I had to get back to work, so I went in the house to wash my face and try and make myself a bit more presentable. I messaged my hubby, who's working away at sea, to tell him the devastating news, which set me off all over again. I then go to the sun porch at the back of the house to check on my other 3 cats, which sets me off yet again as Eilish is obviously missing and wasn't there to greet me with the others. Finally ready to leave I go outside and am greeted by Eilish, who is very much alive and well. I screamed in shock elation, which almost terrified the living daylights out of her, and proceeded to laugh and cry her name, interspersed with plenty of exclamations of "You're alive." She was rather bemused by my display of emotions but allowed me to cuddle and kiss the bejesus out of her. Once collected, I went back to the shed to look at her poor doppelganger. She really was the spit of Eilish, but now that the fog of shock and grief had been removed, I could see subtle difference in her markings. Talk about a roller coaster of emotions. I ended up putting the doppelganger in a wee box, wrapped up in a blanket. I put a post on FB but no one ever claimed her. She's buried now at the side of our house, and whilst I'm sorry for her passing, I'm so glad it wasn't my Eilish. Cat tax. Too long didn't read. My poor cat found dead. Cue screams and cries of anguish. Turns out she's alive. Wow, what a roller coaster of a read you put me through. So happy it turned out well for you. Losing a pet is tragic. I lost my boy, puppy dog, and the world will never be the same. So glad for you and really good for you for giving the other poor putty cat a good send-off. You're a good human being. Thank you. I'm so grateful I only experienced that raw grief for an hour, and even more grateful that my children were oblivious to it all in school. I'm sorry for your loss too. I hope you find comfort in the treasured memories of the time spent with your good boy. Holy shit, what a morning you had. Indeed. Not going to forget that day in a hurry. You are such a kind soul. This isn't even a fuck up, you're a good person. That's very kind of you to say, thank you. Man, this is why our 2 stupid boys aren't allowed out of the house. If I ever get cats again, they'll be indoor cats. The stress is just not worth it. Well, you still did a good thing by giving the other one a proper burial. Thank you. I felt so sorry for it and I was so surprised when no one claimed her. I live in a small community, 1,200 people, where everyone knows everyone, so the owners would have heard about it, especially when the whole bloody island was talking about my stupidity. Today I fucked up by letting a cleaning service in my house. Obviously not today, happened a few years ago. I lived in a good decent neighborhood, and one downfall of that is solicitation. This person came up to my door and offered, we will clean an area and all you have to do is tell people how good of a job we did. My thought at first was, no, I don't want people in my house. Then I decided, why not clean a floor? Probably a new business starting out, maybe it will help them. I had an area rug that was maybe 8 foot by 6 foot. Here they come with their equipment. There goes the lady that came to the door. Here comes a different guy. And there goes the next 90 minutes of my life. He vacuumed 1/4 of the rug, then started trying to sell me a Kirby. Vacuumed the dust out of my TV. That was a plus. Then tried to sell me a Kirby. That was a minus. Vacuumed another 1/4 of the rug. Then tried to sell me a Kirby. Then vacuumed a small area on my mattress. Then tried to sell me a Kirby. Even after I said I wasn't interested. Every time asked what I would pay for it, approximately 1/8. Call his manager. Still no deal. Told me about a trip he could win. If I bought one it could help him win that trip. Said with how much this costs I go on that trip myself. Finally, he finished the last 1/4 of the rug. 90 minutes. I must admit it was interesting to see what all the Kirby picked up. Seemed like a pretty vacuum that costs as much as a used car. They tried coming back a couple of times to a no thank you and a door in the face. TL, doctor unknowingly let a vacuum salesman vacuum a small area rug for the low cost of 90 annoying minutes. I thought you were talking about the Nintendo character Kirby throughout the entire story. I still have my Kirby 30 years after buying it. It's been repaired a dozen times and keeps on going. You get what you pay for. Can't disagree there, especially in a world where everything is made to be disposable. It seems like a great vacuum. But at the end of the day, to me, it's a vacuum. You can find a used Kirby vacuum on Facebook Marketplace for like $50. They've been doing this shit for like a million years now. In Israel same BS happens with any appliance purchase. If you install yourself, you void the warranty. So when they come to install, the guy does the same hard sell for voltage conditioners, water purifiers and service contracts. Once they are in the door, good luck getting them to leave without a deal. Today I fucked up by masturbating so much that my balls rotated. Unfortunately this sad incident happened today. Basically at night, I was feeling very horny, so I decided to masturbate like any normal male teen. I hadn't done it in 2 days, and I was edging for about 30 minutes. Eventually I finish, literally lose eyesight for a few seconds from the pleasure, and then clean up and go on to watch the FCB versus Juventus match. While I was watching, my balls started hurting. My right nut was in a lot of pain, but I assumed this was from the huge orgasm, and ignored the pain and went to sleep. I woke up 3 hours later in a lot of pain, and told my dad about it, and he basically told me to rest and take it easy. In the morning, the pain was gone, but regardless I went to the doctor, and he explained how my testicle has rotated and blood flow was shut off. So it was possible the testicle could have died, but fortunately for me the rotation fixed itself. So advice to you all, if you ever feel a lot of pain in a single testicle, wait 15 minutes to see if it goes away. If it doesn't, head to the ER. It's a testicle torsion. Too long didn't read, masturbated hard and my right nut rotated and almost died from lack of blood, but luckily fixed itself without any surgery. Go to horny jail. I feel like the urologist checking my balls was the horny jail. The Barker match was probably more painful than your testicle. This actually happened to me about 4 years ago. I was 16 years old. It's called testicular torsion. Unlike OP, I wasn't masturbating when this happened. In fact, I woke up about 30 minutes earlier than usual with an enormous pain in my balls, left one I think. Luckily for me, my mother is a nurse and she immediately took me to a hospital where I got an operation to fix the rotation. If I had ignored it, I would have been left with only one ball. This happens mostly to boys between the ages of 15 to 20, so if you ever happen to feel some serious pain down there, don't even think about not treating it. I showed this to my husband as revenge for him showing me a horrifying video earlier. He's mad at me now, but I feel happily self-avenged. Feel your pain, thumbs down, been there myself, not from masturbating, unfortunately had to have surgery though.